Howdy everyone, Waffles2 here, and we have been busy all week taking possession of equipment deliveries and quickly prepping launch vehicles to get this stuff airborne. As you know, we are on a bit of a tight timetable. Bob crashed into the moon last week, and now we are trying to get equipment in place so we can mount it, at the very least an investigation into what had happened. But it still takes time to get this equipment in place and airborne. But I've been watching the timetable very closely, and if all goes well here with this set of launches, and we get the crew in place right away, and if they can find him right away during their search, then I think we have a good chance of recovering Bob, assuming he survived the initial impact. Anyway. First up, we have our mobile research vehicle, which is going to take the place of our one-shot landers. This will probably be the last landing vehicle we put in a Kerbin's SOI, and we are going to use it for everything. It comes equipped with 2 sets of solar arrays, expansive lockers for snack storage, multiple equipment bays, long-range antennas, and I understand leather bucket seats. This sucker really is loaded. She masses right around 12 tons, fully loaded, which is quite a bit more than our previous landing craft. I believe they were massing right around 7 tons. So yeah, we're about double that. But this has the advantage that it's reusable, and with the science lab on board our Skylab space station, we can reset the experiments indefinitely. So all we'll have to worry about from here on out is to keep shipping fuel and rotating crews in and out of space, and we can pretty much operate continually with this thing. We're hoping it's a big step up from our previous program, and will certainly be a lot cheaper, since we'll only be shipping fuel and manpower instead of fuel, manpower, and the equipment that we're only going to get one use out of. So, moving right along, looks like a standard orbital rendezvous maneuver here. I think we launched way early, so I'm going to have to go way out to bring this in one orbit. In retrospect, I probably should have spent several orbits to let it catch up instead of doing it in one. But we needed to, practice refueling anyway, so we'll just plan on sending a refueler up to top the tanks off before her first mission. We've got a good view there of the little robot probe hanging on the back. We've got it there temporarily just to control this mission. Once again, because the vehicle was not designed to land on Kerbin, we had no safe abort procedure, so we're sending her up unmanned and flying her to the space station via remote control with our ComSat network. This is working out for us rather well, I must say. And now, final approach with Skylab 1. We'll go once again. Remember, the retrograde marker gets pushed away from our direction caret, so we can use that to fine-tune our path and bring it in even closer than we normally would be able to with a long-range rendezvous. I think that's good. We'll let her coast in till we're under 1 kilometer. This, because this is a lander, the engines are pretty darn powerful, so she can stop her movement, pretty much at will. Looks like we're running out of daylight. Let's see. Okay, and stop. Not bad, not bad. About 3 football fields distance. Now to just get her lined up with the station and coast her on in using the RCS jets. I think we're going to dock her on the end, one of the end nodes. We're pretty heavy, so we don't want to shake the station too much. Okay, looking pretty good. Pretty standard maneuver here. Once again, get roughly lined up with the station's orientation and translate around until we're lined up with the docking node, and then we'll go ahead and slowly realize that I don't have any forward-looking lights on this thing, so we're going to have to do this completely in the dark. I am so sorry. But undaunted, we get to look at all of the lighting effects from the navigation and illumination lights on the lander unit. And we're completely blinded to Skylab 1. This is instruments only, so be prepared for me to screw this up. Alright, we are getting darn close, and this is about the time I notice that I've got a big antenna hanging off the front. And that docking node is surrounded by the space station's fuel tanks, and I really don't want to jab those with my antenna, so I have to cock the lander over about 45 degrees and hope that antenna fits between the two of them. A little screw up here and bring it back in for a dock. Oop, bump. There we go. And we're docked. Now, moving right along, we need to get the next piece of our system into orbit and docked up. So let's see. Let's get the next launch vehicle wheeled out there. Honestly, I just kind of slapped these together willy-nilly. We've been getting so much equipment delivered in such a short time span. I'm half amazed that the lander made it into orbit on our first try. So let's see if lightning can strike twice for us. Well, we've made it this far, and we got a pretty good head of steam built up. We've just about expended the main stage of the rocket, and that's it. We'll discard the fairing and the main motor, and now we're down to just this little kick engine. This is looking actually better than the lander. Luckily, both of these vehicles we put up have got pretty good fuel reserves that we don't need to take advantage of right away. So even if the launch vehicle can't quite do the job, the payload is more than capable of finishing. Like I said, we don't have to worry too much about their fuel capacity right now, since we already screwed up with the lander and have to run a refueling mission anyway, and we would have had to worry about doing that sooner or later. So we'll go ahead and get it done now. The crew won't be ready to take possession of the equipment for another week anyway, so we have plenty of time to get a refueler in place to top these tanks up. Anyway, this simplistic looking little craft is just a tractor vehicle, and its whole purpose is to shuttle the lander vehicle to and from our landing sites. And there we come, closing in on Skylab 1, and now it's just a matter of letting them drift together. I think I didn't do a very good job with this rendezvous. Anyway, the tractor will move the lander into position. The lander will separate, perform its landing, reorbit itself, and then meet back up with the tractor, which will bring it back to the Skylab 1, where we can transfer off its experiments and reports, and then the science lab can reset the experiments, and we'll send a refueling vehicle up to refuel everything, and we can continue to repeat this process indefinitely. Alright, we've been flying all night, and here we are on final approach to the station, just in time for the sunrise. So we won't have to try to dock at night again. Although at least this vehicle has a forward-looking searchlight, so even if I did have to dock at night, it wouldn't be blind. Anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and dock it up to the rear node on the lander, so it'll be ready to go as soon as the crew arrives. We'll just swing her into position here. Got a good view of the station on our approach. Yeah, these two pieces of hardware are deceptively heavy. Both of them combined, I think, actually outmass the space station by a few tons. Although not counting if you count the little runabout docked on one end, maybe not. But those runabout, that station actually is mostly empty space. It's not very heavy. Or these vehicles are mostly, fuel tanks. Coming in slowly, gently. Let's not bang things together too hard. And lock up. There we are. Okay, that's 2 pieces of gear up. 1 to go. Okay, this last launch vehicle should look familiar, and I have very little doubt that it's going to be able to make it into orbit. What I did is I designed our fuel tanker to be as close to the same mass as the runabout as I possibly could get away with, and then stuck it on top of a heavy version of the same lifter unit. So, hey, the more we can reuse. Hey, there's a shot for everybody. Holy cow. That's it for the show. There goes the solid rocket boosters. Now we're well on our way. Approaching side motor termination. Side motors terminated and separated. Main motor pressure looking good. Standing by. Approaching MECO. Altitude 40 kilometers. Distance downrange approximately 100 kilometers. We have MECO and stage separation. Upper stage motor at full power. Everything's looking good. Let's watch the sunrise, shall we? It's the little moments in this game sometimes. Approaching upper engine cutoff in 3, 2, 1. Engines cut. Stand by for stage separation. Engage upper stage motors. And we are in orbit. Okay, now we just need to ride this up. Align our solar panels to keep all of our robotic equipment functioning. Yeah, there's nobody home on these. We've got to keep the electrics running. Okay, this is our standard orbital rendezvous maneuver. Swing up the apoapse and burn to adjust our orbit. Done with that node, let's delete it. Now we want to burn until we bring those two as close as we can get them. And that looks pretty good. Refueler 1 on final approach to Skylab 1. Stand by for docking maneuvers. Stand by for rendezvous maneuver. Okay, we got about 40 meters per second to get rid of here. That'll take us about 40 seconds. So, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if this passed us by a little bit, because I kind of want to dock on the far end from the lander vehicle. I think that's the only nodes that are still available on the station anyway. Okay, let's get ourselves on target and a little better aligned, make it a little easier to maneuver. So at least we can tell our ups and our downs from our sideways and our upways. Okay, we'll just translate around to the other end, next to the runabout, and dock opposite the lander. And I think that will just about do it. And we can transfer our fuel load into the tractor and the lander vehicles. And we'll be done with this mission. Believe me, I've been watching the clock. And once we can get the lander crew in place quickly enough, and if we burn for the moon within a day of that, we'll have plenty of time to rescue our missing man, or at least find out what happened to him. There's no guarantee he even survived the crash, but we'll worry about that in a minute. First, we got to get things lined up and get this fuel docked. The plan is I'm just going to drain it dry, including those RCS tanks, and we'll just suck it to a dry husk, and the next time a crew rotates out, we'll have them use the runabout to send it back down to the Kerbin, instead of wasting any fuel doing it itself. And that's it. Alright, let's get the lander and the tractor units fueled up. The crew will be in place next week to take possession of the vehicle, and we'll be able to head to the moon to... Jeb? Jeb, what happened? I've got a reading that the engines are live on the tractor unit. Jeb, where are you going? Jeb, the moon's a harsh mistress. You don't just take off willy-nilly and fly out there. Jeb, this is insane. The crew will be here in a week. You're not. What do you think you're going to accomplish? Bill, you too. Urzi, stop them. You guys aren't even cleared on that equipment. You don't. How can you know how to fly that thing? It's brand new. You haven't trained on it. You've never flown a SOP. What are you even talking about now? Jeb, seriously, think about what you're doing. You know Mission Command is not going to stand for this. Jeb, I'm serious. If you do this, I can almost guarantee you will never fly again. Jeb, please! At what point did I lose control here? I'll see everyone next time. Ciao.